Hey y'all, here is your video on media queries. So I have Alex's site up here. Thank you, Alex, for letting me use your site for this demo. So here's the problem that we're going to encounter repeatedly with our web products, and here's what we're going to use to solve it. So when I look at this web page on different size screens, so I'll look at it first on, let me get a small device on here, or sorry, small screen, 1366 by 768. Oops, right. There we go. Okay, so Alex has targeted small screen for his content, and everything is aligned the way he wants it to. I think this might be Alex's old site that I'm using here, so it may look a little better. Pardon, Alex. So the problem is that when we start to look at this at different size screens, so for instance on an iPad, still looks pretty decent. We have a little bit of white space down here that we'd have to fix. And then, when we start to look at it on iPhone, it starts to get really crazy, right? Like this, so this is not a mobile-friendly device. So what we need to do is we need to use something called media queries. Okay, one of your assignments is to read this really, really helpful article written by this nice man on the internet who outlines media queries in a really nice, really understandable way. So I would definitely recommend reading this article before you get started with the video that I'm currently making right now. What I'm going to show you in this video is how to actually implement these media queries into your Wayback website so that you can target the different devices. I also have a worksheet for you that kind of highlights a lot of the stuff that's discussed in here. A lot of good stuff for you to copy and paste in here for your project. So the first thing that I will do is I'm going to go ahead and open up Alex's code. Whoops. So I'm going to open his main page, and I will open the main page CSS sheet. There we go. Alright, I'm just going to get rid of these other pages here, just organize my stuff a little bit. Okay, so all of this CSS is pertaining to a certain size screen. What we want to do is we want to have some other, let's call them categories, for us to target the different devices, and we can do that with what's called a media query. The very first step to working with media queries is to set up your HTML sheet to be responsive. So there's just literally a magic tag that I have in here in your media queries sheet. This is the responsive meta tag. So we're going to copy this whole thing and we're going to paste it into our code. This sets up your HTML page to be able to read the media queries. If you don't have this and your media queries aren't working, it's probably a good chance that you forgot this step. So what we want to do is we want to paste this near the other meta tags. The most important thing being that it comes before the CSS sheet. Because it allows us to make CSS scalable styles, if we do not link it before the CSS sheet, it will not work. So this is a good spot for it. You could put it underneath the title or even up here if you wanted to, but as long as it is before the CSS sheet, you should be fine. Okay, so if we open this code up in the browser, really nothing will happen. What we're going to do next is we're going to actually pull in our media queries. So hopefully by now you have read the article. If you have not read the article, you might want to take a second, just read through it here because it will illuminate a lot of things. So what we're going to do first, as highlighted in the article, is we are going to design for a desktop first experience because that is how we've built the site. So we've built the site in targeted desktop. Most of the time in web code you will make your web projects mobile first. So that's what we'll be doing with our subsequent projects. But for now, we're going to be using max width so that we are designing for a desktop first experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and copy this media query here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this just to get started, and I am going to paste it into my CSS sheet. All right, so I'm going to paste it all the way at the bottom, which is the best place to put your media queries. Okay, so what this means, if we look at our worksheet again, all right, so we're working with max width, and that means that we're designing for a desktop first experience. Max width means if a device is less than or equal to a specified number. So what we're gonna put a number in here. We're gonna say if the device is this size or is smaller than this size, do this. As opposed to if the device is this size or is larger than this size, do this. Okay, so that's what the difference between min and max are. They can be a little confusing sometimes. The way that I like to think of it is that whatever number is in here is the maximum size that these rules are going to apply to. With min, I like to think of it as whatever number that I'm going to put in here is literally the minimum size, and then going up from there that those styles will apply to. So down here, and also the article talks about this as well, these are what's called our breakpoints. Your breakpoints mean that whatever style you have for your sort of targeted device, which for us is going to be desktop, that code will quote unquote break once the media query is called. Okay, so these are the device sizes. So this is going to be your kind of standard phone. This is going to be your kind of standard tablet. This is going to be a small desktop, and then this is going to be a larger desktop. So there's a lot of wiggle room in there. This is from Twitter. These are Twitter's Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a CSS templating service, which we'll learn about a little bit. You don't have to really worry about these so much, but just keep in mind that I would like you to target these sizes for your project. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to build in our max width. So because we're starting with desktop, we're going to go the next one down. Okay, so the next one down is going to be this 1200. So our target was at 1366. So we're going to use this 1200 here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change this to the maximum width of 1200. And we're going to do this in pixels, always in pixels for your media queries. And I'm just going to leave this background color black. Okay, so now what I have is I'm saying I'm targeting all media, meaning whatever. We'll dig into this a little bit more in the next project. But I'm targeting all media, meaning whatever device whatever type of device my website is showing on, and a certain size. So if the website is showing on a device and it is either this size or smaller than 1200 pixels, then my body is going to change from whatever color Alex has it set here to black if this is true. So let's run this and see what happens. So I'm going to launch this friend here. Okay, so I'm actually going to pick something else because, oh, okay, so it looks like it is working. All right, so as you can see, this is literally the breakpoint here. So the background color, which is behind this here, is changing from white to black on that breakpoint. So let's open it up and let's look at it in the scalable site, okay? And I think I will change something. I might just change the type to like bright pink or something just so we can see. So let's just say, we'll just say p tag instead, and I'll say color, and we can just say pink for now. Okay, go back here. Okay, so as you can see, anything, this is 414 width, any width that is equal to or smaller than 1200 is going to receive this pink type. So if I scale up, if I do small desktop, my type will be black. If I put it in responsive mode, okay, as you can see, check this here, as soon as it gets bigger than 1200, so when it's 1201, my type is going to change back to black. Alright, so as soon as it gets to 1201, my type changes back to black because I have made a condition in my CSS sheet that says, pardon me, I have a sneeze. So I have made a condition that says, hey, go ahead and just run with the CSS that I have given you for all this stuff until these conditions have been met. Okay, so this size or smaller than. Then within this set of rules here, inside of this block, I can go ahead and re-author some of the CSS targeted elements and then their properties and values in here. Okay, if you don't put anything in here, for instance, if I don't put a p tag in there, nothing will happen. Nothing will change. I just have a condition that is set to change things, but I haven't actually changed anything. So let's say we want to change maybe maybe Alex's gradient here on anything smaller than 1200. So I'm going to find that gradient. So I have this linear gradient. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy this whole thing here, okay? Because this is what I want to change. I want to make a change within this tag and within its properties and values. And I'm going to put that, inside of this block, okay? So make sure that it's inside of this media query block. All right? Then you can get rid of all the stuff you don't want to change. So I don't want to change the alignment. I don't want to change the width. I don't want to change the padding, and I don't want to just change the flex. Those are all going to stay the same, and they will be inherited from this part of the CSS into this conditional statement. But I do want to change my, my gradient, and I'm just going to keep this nice and tidy so that I can see what I'm doing, and I can always clearly see what's inside of this media query. And I'm going to say, let's just make it like pink and orange. Okay, so now when I go back and save or refresh, I'm going to have a different gradient on anything that is smaller than 1200. All right, just to drive this home, let's say I want to change the A tags when something is smaller, when it's on mobile. I can go ahead and do A in here, and it'll inherit all of the other A style that I've already put up in my normal CSS. I only put inside of the matched element the properties and values that I want to change given these conditions of the screen. So I can just say maybe color, and we'll just stick with pink here. Okay, so now all my A tags will be changed to pink. So it looks like it is changing the underline. So when you run into a situation like that, you just have to figure out, okay, where's that yellow coming from? All right, so it's actually, my yellow is actually coming from the H4, and the H4 is probably compiling after the A tag. So what I would want to highlight there would be, instead of the A, would be the H4. Okay, Web Inspector's your friend with this. So here we go. All right, so now I have, and again, this is called the breakpoint, right where your normal style kind of breaks, or your targeted style kind of breaks. That's the breakpoint. So our first breakpoint is going to be this 1200 pixels.